All right, good morning. I'd like to call the April meeting of Central Oklahoma Transportation and Parking Authority to order. But at this time, I think we've got a special presentation for a long-standing employee of Cotpa in the city of Oklahoma City, and would like to present a retirement proclamation to her. So I'll come down front if you give me a minute. Stretch. Yeah, Melvin, come down. I guess Mary Kay. Okay, I'm Chris Kaufman. Yes, I think it's a special day today to recognize Melvin for her 25 years of service to Cotpa and to the city. And she joined Metro Transit in 1955 and moved. Is that right? Moved into special services, which is what?
Which is, we help transportation with elderly and disabled people.
Hold this for me and help me. No.
Oh. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Let me get the wheelchair out of the truck.
But we've got a special retirement resolution, and I'd like to read this so everybody can, that Melva Brindley has been an outstanding employee of Central Oklahoma Transportation and Parking Authority, and has been especially generous in her willingness to help others, as well as giving her time and energies to providing exceptional professional service to the citizens of Central Oklahoma. Whereas Cotpa wishes to formally express its deep appreciation and gratitude to Melva for all she's done for the authority. Now therefore be resolved that Cotpa, that the resolution is presented to Melva as a symbol of high esteem in which regard to her service is held, and as a token of our sincere, heartfelt thanks and future for success and happiness.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So why don't you hold that up and let.
Thank you.
What are your, well, just a minute. Oh, now I'm in charge.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was fixing to go get your wheelchair.
Oh, okay. What are your plans now?
Well, I've got a brand new 7-week-old great nephew that I'm going to help play with on a daily basis when I want to. I want to travel and just do what Melvin wants to do.
Well, I'll bet Laura said you can't do this, so you must have been associated with her in the past. So I'm sure all your friends in the cities don't leave them alone and stay in contact.
Oh, we will.
All right.
Well, thank you very much.
Congratulations. All right, we have 3 minutes to approve the February meeting of the trust, the March meeting, and transportation meeting. So any changes or additions to the minutes any of the trustees would like to make? If not, I would have a motion to approve these minutes.
Move for approval. Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. We've got 5 items on the consent docket. Any particular item on the consent docket that any of the trustees would like special explanation of? All right, I'd move approval for our consent docket.
Second.
All in favor? All right. Oh. Items for individual consideration. 1 is an RFP for repairs to the Sheridan Walker Garage, and authorize the administrator to advertise and release the RFP. Oh, I was waiting for
Yes, on November 15th, the board approved Triad Task Order 19, which included the engineering services to develop the plans for the Sheridan Walker Garage. This RFP includes all spalling, areas of broken concrete. We're mostly dealing with the drive lanes, and we're replacing the waterproofing on the second floor. It also works with the drains. We've had some flooding problems, not a lot, but it will be clearing out all the drainage and things like that. We also have an add-on to replace the weatherproofing on the top level as well. So with this approval, we'll be able to get that out and hopefully next month have some bids.
Does it require any closing of spaces or?
No, should not. I mean, they'll work, the contractor will work with the Parkers. It shouldn't.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Then do I hear a motion to approve item A?
So moved.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Item B is a change order number 6 to the contract with Flintco for construction of the Arts District parking garage located across the street. So if these change orders, I know some of them have been going on for quite a while, but
Yes, and this change order consists of only 4 items, and they're basically just some items that have come up during the construction. One is an expansion joint modification, another's an added curb on a sidewalk, and then also installing stair tower roof davits. Those are to help with the window cleaning and something for the company to secure to when they're cleaning all the things. So this change order is $38,245, which is in total with all change orders is 1.79% of the total contract.
is everything on schedule, I guess? I mean, I'm sure you'll give us a report in your parking system report, but since we're talking about the garage right now,
At this time, I mean, like I said before, last month, the weather's been, now that we have nice weather, I see them picking that up. And I believe right now they're on the 8th floor stairwells, so we're almost there.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any questions? Then I'd have an approval for item B.
Move approval.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Item C is amendment number 2 to the contract with Downey Contracting for drainage, parking, lighting, and sidewalk improvements, and approval of final acceptance of the project and place the maintenance bond in effect. Jason?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. This item here, as you said, will be amendment number 2 to the project we started last summer out at our South May facility, where we did some parking lot rehab and expansion. We installed some new lighting. We did some parking lot striping, as well as some drainage improvements. And this amendment is to adjust for final quantities used, particularly for the concrete in the expansion joint rehab part of the project, as well as some additional striping for the employee parking lot. Total amount of the amendment is $20,622.16. It'll bring the total contract price to $725,890, and the project was funded 100% by stimulus funds.
Okay. Do they have a conference room out there at that facility?
Yes, we have actually 2 conference rooms. We have a large classroom that we use for a large conference room, but we also do training, and then we have another smaller conference room.
I'd suggest maybe one of our committee meetings or something that we have it there, and the trustees get an opportunity that want to attend any of the committee meetings to look at the facility. So in the future, you might, you might consider that and having a committee meeting there.
Okay, yeah, we'd be glad to do that, and we'd even provide a tour for those that want to take a look around.
Nice.
Okay.
All right, item C, any questions? Then I'd have a motion to approve item C.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Item D is approval of change order number 4 to the contract with Pope Contracting for site, mechanical, and electrical improvements at Union Station.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this item here, as indicated, is for the project we have ongoing at Union Station, where we did some sanitary sewer improvements, we did some electrical upgrades, some drainage, and so forth. This change order is $2,600, and essentially what this will do is provide for some additional work needed on the sidewalk ramps on the north side of the facility to make them ADA compliant. With this change group number 4, the total contract price will be $912,354.
All right. Any questions? None? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Last item for individual consideration is approval of a contract with Kimberly Horn and Associates for the MAPS 3 core-to-shore parking study.
Yes, on August 2013, the board authorized us to go out for RFPs. This was a parking study to include the MAPS 3, the core-to-shore area. It also looked at the convention center hotel, and on-street, it was to develop a parking management type system for that area. We received 4 proposals, Desmond, Kimberly Horn, Nelson Nygaard, and Walker. And after the initial evaluations, Desmond and Kimberly Horn was asked to come in and do a presentation. And then after those presentations, Kimberly Horn was decided or was selected, and after negotiating with them, come up with a cost of $107,000. I'd like to add, part of their proposal was to provide a software program that will allow us to change the scenarios depending on the businesses or whatever that might, develop in those areas. And it also will allow us, we will own the software, it will allow us to develop and do parking studies ourselves in other areas of the city.
So is that the primary cost difference between the
Yes.
original Desmond proposal and?
Yes.
Okay.
And that is the difference in the cost.
And I know the emphasis probably is more the convention center and parking, but I assume that when it says core-to-shore, it does encompass
The park and
the
any
park
private
and
development.
future projections on development, whatever those might be.
And that was what was nice about the software, because we will be able to change that as it grows, since right now it's, basically empty. And once, that private development starts going in, and we'll be able to look at that as far as parking demand and what's needed in the area.
Okay.
I'm glad you touched on the fact that we're looking at bringing that software in-house, because my question would have been, don't we have the mechanism within the city structure to be able to do these studies ourselves, or is the reason that we don't do them ourselves that we want that outside opinion about what? But if it's a study, I guess
It's using their expertise, yeah. But we will be working very closely with the city's planning department, because a lot of the GIS data and things that will be needed for the software, they will be providing. So it's going to be a joint effort in working
it
with
just seems
cities.
to me we're growing so fast, and we're studying everything that has to do with the growth patterns of this city. It just seems to me that our staff people would be better equipped to take good, hard, long, intense looks at these things than guys who are coming from Cincinnati and Hawaii or wherever.
I will say, Varan, that it's those very studies that are keeping our staff so busy administering them that we don't really have the capacity to take on new studies.
So we need
But it's
more staff,
also
huh?
an expertise.
Employment.
It's also an expertise in the area of parking that really we don't have that specific expertise on staff. So while we are bringing other people in, it does help to have a fresh look, I think, fresh set of eyes on our situation too. Sometimes we get a little stagnant in our own approach, what we've done here. It helps to bring in people who have a different perspective, I think.
And another small component of this parking study was to look at a parking type district, which has never been done in the Oklahoma City area. And there's been discussion, like the park was looking at the parking as sustaining, the park and things like that. So that is something too that we have asked them to look at as well, and give us some, ideas or suggestions.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve item E? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Next item is our ratification of claims and payroll. Any items in there that any of the trustees have a question about?
Is
or-
Melva's final check on here? Because can we deny Melva's final check to keep her from leaving?
No.
Just kidding.
All right, thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Our financial reports for the month. Jason, any items on there that you'd like to make comment on?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a few comments if I could. I'd like to start on page 2 of the budget to actuals and share just a few details on the Transportation Division's financials. Starting with the operating revenues, one thing I want to point out is on the federal grants. If you look over there at the far right, you'll see the variance of $411,000. And just wanted to let you know that the variance there is really due to a timing of our draws. And if you'll recall, when we were looking at this last month, we were actually about $441,000 to the negative. And at that time, I had indicated, we had a draw in process. We would probably be closer to $400,000 when we looked at it the next month. And so just wanted to let you know that we did process that draw as anticipated, and that's why we have the variance there. Also wanted to point out, still looking at the revenues, the state government subsidy. This was one also, when we looked at it last month, we had a variance of $333,577, indicating we were ahead of our budget, and that was simply because of the fact that we received our subsidy a month earlier than what we had projected. We had indicated that at that time, and you can see that now we're basically back on target with that state subsidy. Looking down at our operating expenditures on our personal services, we continue to be close to our expected budget at 99.9% there. There's a couple months where we had just barely got over 100% on our budget to actuals. But we are, again, actively managing overtime and looking at some of the scheduling that we do when we schedule extra operators to support the service. And I just wanted to recognize staff for actively managing that over the last couple months to keep us within budget. The last thing I'll mention on this particular report here is looking at the payments and transfers category, the City of Oklahoma City General Fund subsidy. You can see that if you look at the variance there and compare what our expected budget was to what we actually transferred, we're showing to be $1 million on the negative side, and that's simply because we did not process a transfer from the general fund in February. That's been caught up, of course, in March, and should be back in line when we look at this report next month. Next page, page 3, talk about parking just a little bit. Similar comment to last month, but if you look at our operating revenues on the parking side, we're at about $310,000 variance, so we're coming in higher than what we had expected on revenues. And again, just a reminder for the benefit of the trustees that as we, now that the Century Center garage is closed, we would expect that positive variance to begin decreasing as we go throughout the year. We do not see us coming in under budget by any means on revenues, but it'll certainly be a lot closer as we get closer to the end of the fiscal year. And then one thing I wanted to mention on the River financial statement, again, just as a reminder, if you look at that actual revenues versus expenditures, it shows an excess of $208,830 year to date. And again, we have transferred our entire general fund subsidy amount. So as we get further along in the year, we would expect also that excess that's indicated there to be closer in line with budget. And that is all I had with the financials.
Okay. Laura, do me a favor, if you would, kind of for the trustees' benefit, explain what accounting within the trust and how that, what the chain of command, how that reports to the city, what oversight the city has, just how all this compiled, and is it done more by the trust employees or the city, just so I kind of understand.
Wow, Jason, I'm going to defer to you on that one because I'm not refreshed on that particular question. But and then as he explains, if I need to chime in, I will talk about that.
Yeah, for these reports, here.
Well, all accounting. I mean, all the accounting for the trust.
So most of the accounting for the trust is done in-house, and as far as managing the staff and the the payments to different vendors and
In-house,
grant
meaning
draws.
the
Our
trust.
staff, the
You're
trust.
the trust staff.
Trust,
Okay.
right. Now, we provide, well, I should say, we share the same financial system as the city uses. And so all of the information that we conduct on our end, internal, our staff, that's available to the city's enterprise system. And so what we have there is all that information is is available to the city's accounting department. And so they support us on more formal financial reports such as this. They will prepare these for us monthly. We usually end up doing some type of, we always do a review, and there's usually some communication back and forth just to make sure we're understanding where they're getting their numbers, and we feel confident that they're capturing everything that we know needs to be included. So it's really kind of a joint effort. We do primarily most of it in-house. Information's available to accounting. They do the compiling and reporting for us.
So I'll add to that. In
Okay.
general, the city of Oklahoma City has a decentralized accounting and financial system. So the city, depends on people in nearly every enterprise in the city to manage their own financials. There is review that is conducted. So we're talking about everything from the airport and the water utility, and the airport, the water utility, Cotpa, all those different trusts and related entities. But they use, it's kind of an economy of scale. They use our system, they use the same auditors that we use, so that there's a consistently applied set of financial standards applied across the city and its related trusts. Does that help at all?
Yes, but the oversight, say on a monthly basis, is it by Cotpa staff or is it by the city accounting department? I mean, kind of just, looking at all this on a daily or monthly or weekly basis, kind of the oversight that's...
I would say both. It's both. It's staff in the department that is continually conducting those financial transactions on a regular basis. It's staff in the accounting division who helps prepare those summary financial reports, and then they're reviewed again by the staff in the department to make sure that no transactions have been misclassified or that there's not something that's misunderstood about the report itself.
And you take it home on the weekend and review it?
Absolutely. Every
Okay.
city trust and entity. Absolutely.
Okay, that helps. I just, we have an auditor's report once a year, and I don't know that we ever get into quite that. And it's just, it's not a concern of the trust, I know, but it's just for our clarification, just kind of how the system
Well, I
works.
can assure you that the department and the trust's eyes are not the only ones that are examining the financial reports. And in the event, for example, that something were going far off course, or that it was, a reporting issue, the accounting people would report to the finance director, and the finance director would come to me. Of course, that's the advantage of the finance director being a part of this trust, is that we have direct access as trustees to ask those questions.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add one last thing to that. Although we certainly work with accounting and we appreciate the reporting services and so forth that they provide, and the auditing, from a business standpoint, we approach it as in, we have to know on a weekly, daily basis where we're at in terms of expenditures and revenues, because we have the enterprises to run. So I would say, from our perspective, whether we had this reporting support and so forth, whether we had that or not, we take it upon ourselves to make sure we know exactly what our financial position is at any given time.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on that issue by any of the trustees? And that just help clarify it for some of us and everything. All right. Our program reports, our transit system report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd share a few things with you from our transit system report. In February, I think I'll talk about our fixed route ridership first. In February, our fixed route ridership, Monday through Friday service, averaged 9,475 passenger trips per day. That is a decrease of about 2% from where we were a year ago in February. Of course, as I've done in past months, point out that we had actually 3 bad weather days in February where our ridership was below 7,000. We had 1 bad weather day where our ridership was below 6,000. So those numbers that you see, the 9,500 roughly average passenger trips reflect those bad weather days. Now, when we look at our Saturday service on the fixed route side, it's a little bit of a different story. We averaged 4,965 passenger trips on Saturday compared to about 4,500 the previous year. So that's about a 9% increase with our Saturday ridership, which is a good thing. And it's actually the second consecutive month. We saw this same thing in January where our Saturday ridership outpaced our Saturday ridership in the previous year. So cumulative, when we look at our cumulative fixed route ridership, we're at about 1.9 million passenger trips through 8 months of the fiscal year. And then if we combine passenger trips for all services, including paratransit and special services, in February we eclipsed the 2 million passenger mark with about 2.1 million passenger trips in total. A couple of things I'd like to talk about in terms of our special services. One is you'll notice that our demand for paratransit continues. We've provided 30,000 passenger trips on the paratransit side through 8 months of the year. That's roughly 2,049 more than what we provided this time last year. That's about a 7% increase. So paratransit demand is something that we continue to see. And then I also wanted to mention on our special services, if you'll notice the medical trips that we've provided so far this year at 1,480. If you look back at where we were at this time last year, we'd only provided about 1,000 of those trips. So when you look at those numbers, that's about a 46% increase. And although the total passenger trips for those medical appointments is considerably less than what we provide in the meal programs and some of the shopping trips, those medical trips are some of our most labor-intensive, time-consuming trips to schedule because they're all for different individuals going to different places. And so the reason I mention that is we've certainly seen some growth in that area, which is a good thing. We're glad that we can provide that service. But at this particular growth rate, if we continue to see it, there's going to be some continuing pressure to be able to keep up the current levels of customer service with this demand. But overall, I think it's a good thing for us. We're able to provide quite a few more of those medical trips this year. In terms of downtown discovery, both weekday and Saturday service are up. And then if you look at your totals in your table towards the back of your report, you'll notice that overall, cumulatively, weekday downtown discovery is higher than where we were last year, and we're starting to catch up on our Saturday service as well. I think I'll finish up just by talking about our road calls and accidents real quick. Road calls, we finished at 17,382 miles between road calls for the month of February. That's in excess of our target of 15,500, and we've actually had several months where we've done really pretty good and exceeded that target for road calls. Preventable accidents, we had 2 preventable accidents in the month of February. As you'll recall, in January we didn't have any, so we did have 2 more than previous month. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
I just wonder, I know David and the council are certainly aware of, and as we, of all the various services provided by this trust, but I don't recall ever seeing some article in the paper or something about all of these services, and I know years ago it was my recommendation to put something like this in our report so we knew what our overall service is, but I just think once every 6 months or something, this would make a pretty nice story in the Journal Record or the Daily Oklahoman or something of special interest to say these are a service, because the citizens of Oklahoma City basically only see the fixed route. And, they see a bus with 2 or 3 people on it, and they wonder what kind of service we're providing. So I think, we could give some thought to see if we could get some kind of information in the papers about this.
Okay, we will. We'll check into that.
Okay. Before I forget, did not get a motion to receive the financial reports. All in favor? Thank you. Long-range plan, Jason said Larry is at ACOG meeting today, so I don't think there's anything on there, so we'll bypass the long-range plan, but our parking system report.
As you'll see in your packet, not much has changed since last month. We're still running about 121% occupancy. Event revenues basically about the same. So I'll just touch on the construction projects. We'll start with Century Center. We did close the Century Center on March 24th. We did begin a shuttle service we had 548 monthly parkers at Century Center, and we were able to move over 100 and some. We kind of shuffled people around and was able to move some in the Cox and a few in the Santa Fe and things like that. So right now we're shuttling about 200 that is parking on the old I-40 lots. And from what I'm hearing, it's going very well. So we're very pleased. So we'll hopefully the shuttle service will go okay. You'll probably in the next week or two, you'll start seeing some major transformations of the Century Center on the outside. They're going to be removing the exterior panels to start that construction. Our contractor's he's been in there now for the last 2 or 3 weeks, shoring up, getting ready to replace the deck on between -1 and -2. So as I said earlier, we have 3 different contractors in there working, and that was the reason for the shutdown. But I think the exterior facade is going to be the most noticeable for people driving around and seeing that. So, and everything's on schedule and going very well. Yeah.
Where does the shuttle drop them off, and how often does it run?
It runs continuously. We've started at 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. We have 4 shuttle buses that's running through the peak times, from 7 to 9 and then from 4 to 6 or whatever. But we do keep one. They drop them off there on the corner of Main and Robinson, and then pick up or drop them off then I-40 between the lots A and B, where the drive-through is. Right. And I was also able to get a shelter from Tyler, a loaned shelter, so we do have something in case of inclement weather that they can stand under while they're waiting. But from what I've seen the last couple of weeks, we've always had a shuttle bus there ready for someone. So what we will do is start looking at our numbers, and if we need to pull back a couple buses and then look at what we need to do there. But we'll still provide the service continuously through the day.
Okay, you have a question?
I had a question going back to the new parking study.
Uh-huh.
We did one, just a couple of years ago where we identified some places on 10th Street and different places. Will this be an overlay?
Yes. We actually stopped, the other one ended on Reno. That was kind of where we got the garage behind us. That's where that idea came up. And then we included Bricktown and all that. So this one actually goes on further south for the Corda Shore.
So it really won't overlay?
No. No.
Well, and I think there have been some developments in the parking in the downtown area that need to be taken into consideration too. Not just our building a garage, but the Dow garages and
Yes.
On the, I don't even know what you would call it, but at 5th and Hudson, I believe it is, they're building another garage near the Murrah Memorial. So
Yeah,
I think those things really need to be taken into consideration too. And we've had a lot of change in our downtown density with Continental coming downtown since the last parking study was done.
So will this new study encompass that?
Absolutely, it will take,
Go up into that?
it will take into consideration the demand that's in this area. Right, and how it's being met and how it's not being met, I think most
Right.
importantly.
Yeah, it's the bigger question.
Yeah.
It's not being.
With us at 120,
Well, you know for sure that it wasn't a standalone study. It was still-
No, No, and also like I said earlier, with the software, that will allow us to pick up different areas too and plug in how that's changed since our last survey or parking study, and then be able to make those changes or recommendations as needed.
Any status on the parking garage east of the tracks that Karchmer is interested in doing, or?
From what I understand, that with the approval of the, was it Jacobs, or with the ACOG, with the study last week, or last month, that is still in the works, and they're looking at
I
that.
can tell you we're having a workshop next Wednesday to talk about the necessary right-of-way for the railroad tracks that will translate into what considerations need to be made in the design to ensure that that right-of-way is preserved.
Okay, good.
The Santa Fe is still plugging along. Hopefully that will be finished next month. Again, the weather, the wind has been the critical issue now. The zinc paneling that's used is very thin. Wind catches it. It's very intricate detailing and construction type of thing. Lost my train of thought there. Sorry. Let's see, Sharon Walker will be working on that. The new garage, yes, we are on schedule. There has been, we're working with the architect and the contractor right now. They have asked for some additional days. We're negotiating with that. We're letting them know we need the garage opened as soon as possible. And but I think with the better weather now that they'll be able to move right along. So.
And how long will our garage be closed?
Hoping not any longer than December. Our contractor's given us till October, but then not knowing what the other work that's being involved and when we'll be able to get back in there safely.
Any questions? No? Thank you. Marketing, and this is expanded, customer relations and technology. So.
On your screen, there's a few pictures of our event that took place this last Sunday. We participated in the Open Streets. They're the first one that our city has had, and I believe the last numbers I heard that they were still estimating around 20,000 participants, and we were very glad that we did participate. We had, I think, a surprising for some staff members. This is their first time to get out and to work an event like this, but just an amazing amount of interest in the service. We saw nearly 300 people come on board a bus, and the majority of those, and I mean the majority, only a handful had said that they'd been on a bus before in Oklahoma City. They'd traveled elsewhere, but here they'd never been on one of our buses. So I would probably say, with the exception of 25 of that nearly 300, those were first-time experiences for folks. So what we did is we gave them the tour. We showed them how you pay your fare. We showed them how you'd alert the operator of when you need to get off the bus. We showed them the audible system that we put on board with this technology improvements, and also the display that shows what the next upcoming stop would be. And just had an amazing interest, and response was, wow, I didn't realize we had this here in this capacity. So that's all positive steps towards helping educate our own citizens just about the services that are provided, very much in line with what Chairman Kaufman was speaking to about our special services. We have a very wide breadth of services there that we'll work on promoting and letting people know that they are available. We had a very productive meeting this week with 7-Eleven executives, and what we were talking to them about this week was about introducing our passes into their stores and engaging them about becoming a pass outlet for us. One of the things that we want to do to help with our operations is make sure that we maintain these 30-minute schedules that we're looking to start at the end of this month. A major way we can help with that is to reduce the amount of fares that are purchased on the bus. And one of the passes that's used or bought the most on our bus is a day pass. And so they're interested in looking at a pilot program. We're aiming at we're putting together a proposal and then bringing that to you, and I would probably need to talk to you about how all of that would work. But they have over 130 stores that they would like to put our passes in. And so this is a great opportunity, one, for us to help ensure that we maintain our travel time, but two, it's an important piece to providing customer service, and that we provide ease and accessibility to our passes, whereas right now you'd either buy it on the bus or you go down to our transit center for a day pass. We do have an outlet, Buy for Less, but they only carry our monthly passes, and that's something we're in discussions with them on how we can maybe diversify the types of passes they offer there. But again, it's a great opportunity that we see before us, and they were very excited about it, and they were also very encouraging in the sense of they would like to help promote the fact that we have the passes there, because they know that a lot of our riders are everyday customers of theirs. And so this is just one more thing that they can provide for our customer that we share. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I think that's a great opportunity for us. That's as exciting a thing as, I think that really is nice.
We're very excited about it. And that just kind of couples with, we're still in discussion with OCCC, and they're wanting to provide those passes in their bookstore. And so what we want to do is make those available. It would require that we'll probably need to look at our fare structure for bulk passes, the amount that people pay for that. Right now, I think we have about a 7% discount for anyone purchasing 500 or more. We'll just want to look at negotiating that on an individual basis with those entities based on the volume they're looking at.
Any questions? All right. Thank you. Good. That's exciting. River.
Good morning.
Hi, Susan. Oh, no, you're not. No.
I'm two people a day.
Okay.
Yeah. Our ferry service started the season this past Wednesday, April 2nd, with service between Exchange and Regatta Park. A group boarded for the first trip at 11:55 and proceeded to the Brim Dam, and the gates wouldn't open. So the crew took the group on a tour of the Middle Basin, telling them about the history of the river and the present and future attractions on the river, and then returned back to Exchange. In the meantime, the Public Works Department responded to the call, fixed the gate, and regular ferry service resumed at 1:30 with no further interruptions. And I understand yesterday went quite well. Repairs to the May lock were originally scheduled for February. They've been rescheduled for April 13th through the 17th. Ordinarily, this would not be an issue for us since we don't go through the May lock until May. However, in order to complete these repairs, they need to lower the Middle Basin where our maintenance facility is located 40 to 48 inches. For that reason, we will not have service on Sunday, April 13th, Wednesday, April 16th, Thursday, the 17th, and quite possibly that Friday, the 18th. Understand that staff appreciates the efforts that Public Works Department does to maintain these locks and get them in good working order, and we anticipate we will have fewer interruptions this year than we've had in the past. The St. Patrick's Day cruise was a success. The weather was beautiful. The boat was full. Our specialty cruises in May. This really kicks off our specialty cruise season with our Mother's Day cruise, which will be on 2 different days, Saturday and Sunday, already booking very well. Big band cruises, and the first of our Friday evening sunset cruises, which occur every Friday evening. May is also the month when History Comes Alive begins. The first history cruise on Saturday afternoons will be on May 10th. Our historical reenactors this season include an 1890s U.S. Marshal, an Indian Wars cavalry soldier, a mail-order bride, an 1870s cowboy, and of course a land run participant, among several others. In anticipation of our full river service, which goes between Meridian, Exchange, and Regatta, and potentially Bricktown, we will be holding our season preview event on Saturday, May 3rd. We will have live music, we'll have some food trucks, we'll have painting from Pino's Painting, we'll have some children's activities, Some of our historians will be there, and we'll have river cruise rides also. To help promote the event, we've entered into an agreement with AmazonLocal.com where potential participants can pre-purchase a ferry pass, which would be good for the entire season, and an Oklahoma River Cruises t-shirt. Both of these items would have to be picked up at the preview event. So in prior years, we've had between 125 to 150 people. We anticipate this one will have a much larger participation, and we would encourage all of you to come down and join the fun. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
How are we doing on our connection with the Bricktown Canal, with the canal? And, I mean, is that,
We have everything in place for river transit. There are still some issues with the
have
city.
we started any of that yet, or?
The Bricktown Landing? No, sir. We're still waiting for an agreement with the railroad. They have to work out the issues with the pedestrian access.
All right. Any questions? All right, thank you. Then do I have a motion to receive our program reports? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Any items by any of the trustees? Start with Brian. Okay, David. Now, you got to hold up Rick's end. You can't stop. You got to have something to say.
I've got something.
Okay.
He trained me well. I really would to just kind of talk about the Open Streets event that Michael mentioned. Just really to thank the employees that went down there and worked that event. That was actually on a Sunday, and so I just wanted to say I appreciate, and I probably speak for all of us, of their willingness to go down there on a Sunday and reach out and work with some of our public. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Well, it was a great Thunder game last night. Thunder up, okay. And I'll adjourn our meeting then. Thank you.